Imagine that you would actually have fun writing your author bio. And imagine that reading your author bio was fun as well, where your own personality really shines through. Well, today I'll show you how to do just that. By the end of this video, you'll be able to have a fun and creative author bio of your own. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the creator of Children's Book University. Writing an author bio can be quite a nail-biter, especially if it is your very first attempt. So over the years, I've tried to make this process easier and much more fun for my clients and students by breaking it down into 4 main objectives to adhere to whenever we are drafting a new author bio. The main objectives we'll want to accomplish with our author bio are, first of all, that it is interesting and relevant. Second, we want our author bio to be informative. Third, we want our bio to help us connect with the reader. And fourth, we want our bio to be extremely concise. Anything else besides these 4 objectives is additional information that may or may not be necessary or needed and could instead be used on our About page in places such as our website. About pages can be much longer and more detailed and more extensive than a simple author bio. If you'd like to take a look at an example of an About page, I've included a link to one of mine below. But for this particular video, we will focus on how to write an author bio for a children's book that we can then share in the book itself, most often placed in the back of the book, for our Amazon sales page, and for other media appearances that require a short bio. So let's go through these 4 main objectives one by one so you can see how you can tweak your author bio so that people actually want to read it. And in the end, I will also share 3 great examples of author bios that check the box for all 4 of those objectives. The first objective when writing an author bio was for it to be interesting and relevant. But what exactly makes an author bio interesting and relevant? A bio becomes interesting and relevant if it pertains to the reader. That is, if it is somehow connected to your book's topic, because after all, it is your book that made people find you in the first place, right? They didn't find your book because of you. They found your book because of what your book is about. So if your children's book is about bullying, for example, you could share more about yourself by starting one of your paragraphs like this. Having been bullied for most of her childhood, author Eevi Jones XYZ. Or, as a teacher, Eevi Jones saw the impact bullying can have on XYZ. Please note here that these examples are all written in third person simply because it's common practice to write an author bio in third person, even though it's usually ourselves who write our bio. The second objective of our author bio should be to be informative. Here are some of the examples I always ask myself to see if the information I'm about to share is informative. Is the information I'm sharing helping the reader make a decision as to whether or not to purchase my book? And will this prompt the reader to learn more about me? And if so, how, where, and why? Adding credibility markers can be very helpful to readers because it shows that you are an expert in whatever topic you are writing about. And being an expert doesn't mean that you have to have a degree in something in order to be able to talk or write about it, right? Credibility markers can be anything that underlines your knowledge, experience, and or expertise. And this doesn't have to be fancy. Some examples of excellent credibility markers are having worked with children in the past or present, being a parent of a child with special needs if you're writing a children's book that talks about that topic, for example. Having rescued and fostered dogs if your children's book is about rescuing dogs. Having personally experienced what your children's book is addressing. Or having been featured in media outlets, or having won an award. These are all excellent ways of giving whatever you have to say and share more credibility. Because if I'm a mom looking for a book on adopting a dog, for example, I would find it incredibly helpful if I knew that the author of the book I'm thinking about buying actually went through the same process. And if you share this information with me in just one sentence, I am all ears. The third objective of our author bio goes hand in hand with this as well, and that's to connect with the reader. Depending on the topic of your children's book, connecting with the reader of your bio may have already been achieved under the interesting and relevant section I shared with you just now. Other ways to connect with readers is to show them that you are just like them, that you are facing the same troubles and problems. Here the wording really comes into play and really helps. So here are some examples. As a mother of 3 little dragons, Eevi Jones does XYZ. Or, as a stay-at-home dad, John does XYZ. Having always wanted to find her own unicorn, Gabby did this or that. Here, we are present with a wonderful opportunity to let our character shine through a bit. With the first example, I could have just written as a mother of 3, but by adding of 3 little dragons, I let readers know that I have 3 kids. But by the way I present that information, I let the reader also know that I don't take life too seriously. So definitely have fun and be creative with this, weaving in parts of your fun personality. And the fourth objective of our author bio is to be concise. I'm hesitant here to give an exact range of word counts here when writing an author bio, simply because this will greatly depend on your children's book and its topic. Just know that the more concise, relevant, and to the point, the better. Breaking it up into short paragraphs is also very important, because short paragraphs are always visually more appealing than big chunks of text, right? Now, if you've stuck to and addressed these 4 objectives or guidelines, you are on your way to an excellent author bio for your children's book. To show you how you can implement these guidelines, let's go over 3 author bios. The first one is from a children's author named Diane Alber. It says, Diane Alber has had a passion for art since she held her first crayon at age 2, which inspired her to subsequently earn a bachelor's degree in fine arts from Arizona State University. She's a wife and a mother of 2 young, energetic children who love books. She became inspired to start writing and illustrating books because she saw a need for a book that inspired art and creativity in children. She also hopes that this book encourages parents to be proud of their children's artwork, no matter what it looks like. Now, Diane did such a wonderful job weaving in her credibility markers while being relatable and showing how her book is relevant to the reader. It's a great example because it shows that everything that needs to be said can be done in a very concise way. The only other information I would add is a website or some other way to connect and for her readers to find her. Now let's look at one of my own author bios next. Oftentimes it's a wonderful idea to break up the text, especially if it's a longer paragraph or chunk of text. So I wanted to share how I have broken up one of my own author bios. This particular version of my author bio is from one of my children's books I co-authored with a well-known Wall Street Journal bestselling author and coach within the entrepreneurial space. So keep that in mind. Writing under a number of pen names, Eevi Jones is a multi-award-winning and 9-time best-selling children's book author and the founder of Children's Book University, where she teaches loving moms, dads, grandparents, and teachers how to write and publish their own magical story. Eevi has been featured in media outlets such as Forbes, Scary Mommy, Entrepreneur on Fire, Huffington Post, Exceptional Parent Magazine, SCBWI, and many more. She can be found online at eevijones.com, and for more books in the Braving the World series, visit bravingtheworldbooks.com. Now, as you can see, it is fairly short but packed with lots of relevant information. Because I co-authored this book with a well-known entrepreneur, I knew that a lot of the readers are not just parents but also entrepreneurs. And that's why I made sure to include credibility markers that are well known within these circles, such as my appearance in Forbes and Huffington Post. I'm also sharing that I have written a number of other successful books and that I founded my own business. Additionally, I invite readers to learn more about me or my series by sharing my website. This is very important and often overlooked or simply forgotten. So if you have a website, be sure to share it with your readers. Now let's look at a third example. This one is by one of my readers, Andy Kahn, and like Diane, she has already written and published a number of children's books. Andy loves writing children's books. She writes stories about friendship, love, and kindness children want to read again and again. With beautiful illustrations and heartfelt characters, Andy aims to enchant and inspire readers to feel confident, strong, and special about who they are. Andy's memorable characters include Fancy Francie, Princess Pumpkin Patch, Mr. Hoopaloops, Jojo Puddles, Rex, Rory the Elf, Popsy, and Marilyn, with many more on the horizon. Her non-fiction books for kids teach about animals and nature. Andy lives in Arizona with her husband and 2 boys named Bo and Francie. She treasures time with her 2 grown children and loves art, animals, and reading good books. Visit her website at andycon.com. Now again, this bio is very short, but lets readers know all the relevant information. I love Andy's use of colorful adjectives. After reading the short bio, we already know so much about her. More importantly, this bio makes me feel like Andy truly cares about her readers. Now, when I shared my own bio with you, you may have noticed that I refer to it as one of my own bios, and that's because I have more than one bio. Something to consider, and that will make this task of writing your very own author bio so much easier and more fun, are these 2 thoughts right here. An author bio is not permanent, and we don't have to stick to just one single author bio. Your author bio is not permanent. Instead, view it as a living, breathing work in progress that will evolve with you. As you as a children's book author will grow, so will your bio. For example, there might be things happening in your life that may trigger changes and updates to your author bios. For example, if one of your books won an award, now you want to add as an award-winning author ... Or if your single book turned into a series, now you want to add something like being part of the series XYZ. Or maybe you are receiving important media coverage. Here you could now include having been featured in XYZ. If your book becomes a bestseller, you also want to update that. Now you can write in your bio something like Eevi Jones is the best-selling author XYZ. And also, if you have written multiple books, now you can write something like, as the author of more than a dozen books XYZ. Do some of these sound familiar? If they do, here's why. I use many of these within my own author bios. Now here's a quick pro tip. My number 1 tip here is to weave these important nuggets of information into your existing author bio instead of adding an entire new sentence or paragraph. This will ensure that your author bio stays short and concise. And if you go back to these examples I just shared with you, you will see that these are just the beginnings of a sentence, and then you would add whatever you had before in your author bio. The second thought I mentioned was that we don't have to stick to just one single author bio. Realizing that I don't have to stick to just one version of my author bio made me feel so much better. I often change and tweak my bio depending on what outlet I'm using it for. For example, my author bio for some of my children's books on Amazon is very different from my author bio I share in my article on Forbes, or my short bio at the end of my article in print magazines, for example. So really, there's no need to agonize over our author bio because we can always change it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Rather, we can tweak, adjust, and change it over time. When drafting our different versions, simply remember to ask yourself, whom is this particular version for? And what am I trying to convey with this particular version? And then based on that, you will want to tweak and adjust, just like I included information that would be relevant to entrepreneurial readers. This is not the same information I would share with regular parents. Saying that I appeared in Business Insider, for example, gives me more credibility with entrepreneurial parents, while other parents probably couldn't care less. They might be more interested that I appeared in a parent magazine or that I am an award-winning children's author. So look at your book's main audience and then tailor it toward them. Remember, it's about the reader and what's important to him or her, not so much about you, the author. If you found this video valuable, it would be so wonderful if you could share it with other fellow authors you think would benefit from it as well. Going it alone is hard, so let's support each other. I hope you found this really helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. Here's to your very own beautiful author bio for your children's book. Bye.